What's up, everybody? We are just over 4 weeks into Modern Warfare 3 Warzone, Warzone 3, whatever you want to call it. And when they gave us the updated Warzone, they also gave us a handful of perks, changed some perks. And I know there's still some questions on what perks you should run, what perks you shouldn't. So we're going to run through the perks and the perk packages that I have set up for different playstyles and my personal favorite perks. Let's go and look at some perks. We're going to run through the ones that are important. We'll talk about the ones that are important. I'll note they're not important, but we're going to just kind of skip over them. But I'll meet you over on the perk screen. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start here with my perks. I personally run Mountaineer. If you don't run Mountaineer, you absolutely need to. We'll talk about it in a second. I run Double Time. I run Tempered. I run Resolute. So we'll talk about it as we go through. So Mountaineer I run because it reduces fall damage, but it doesn't just reduce fall damage. You take no fall damage, or I shouldn't say no take fall damage. You don't die or break your legs from fall damage up to 27 meters high. You don't take any fall stun, so you can fall and hit the ground from up to 22 meters. 23 meters you do get fall stun, but you still survive in the 23 to 27 meter range. With fall stun, 22 and below, no fall stun, you survive, and you barely take any damage at all. Mountaineer is an absolute must unless they nerf it. Mechanic we're not worried about. It's reduced vehicle time, increased fueling speed, reduced fuel consumption. Don't run that. Shrapnels, explosive damage delays, health regen, slows enemy movement, briefly disables tac sprint. Not worth it. It's just not strong enough. Scavenger, you pick up ammo, armor plates, and cash from dead players. You already do that in Warzone. That's more of a multiplayer perk, minus the cash. Battle Harden is an interesting one. You reduce the effect of flash stuns, EMPs, gas, frangible bullets, and shock sticks, and you're immune to snapshots. People aren't really running those. It's just smokes, and I run stims. Not a lot of people do. It's mostly smokes. That's not really worth it until the tactical meta changes. EOD is interesting. You reduce damage from non-kill streak explosives and fire, and reset fuse timers when picking up live grenades. Well, there's not a lot of frags being thrown, so you don't have to worry about the live grenades. And you don't have to worry as much because people are running a lot of knives. Cooked frags are dangerous, and Semtex can be dangerous and they need nerfs, but I haven't really died not running EOD. Although Battle Harden and EOD are perks to consider, I'm not necessarily running them. Then we have Strong Arm. You can throw equipment farther and it shows you the trajectory. You can use that if you're just learning the game, but otherwise ignore that. Spot, you spot equipment and kill streaks through the wall. When you aim down sights, it highlights them for the team, and you can hack claymores, proximity mines, C4, and trophy systems. But I don't run into a lot of trophies. I don't run into a lot of clays. Occasionally prox mines, but not very often. So that's not really useful, and you can just calm to your team if you see them. Sleight of Hand increases reload speed. I haven't found it as valuable as other perks, but it is one to consider, especially if you're playing aggressive, which we'll talk about more later. Then you got Double Time. It increases tac sprint duration and reduces refresh time. I wish they would have made this default like they did with other stuff, like the climbing gloves, the tac pads, and I forget what else for multiplayer. Double Time's another one I run just because there's a lot of open space. We rotate a lot, we move a lot. We play semi-aggressive in my squad, so I like the increased tac sprint duration and getting it back sooner. Then we have Irradiated. J-God tests this one. It doesn't increase your movement speed a lot, but it increases movement speed when you take damage from gas, and you do take less damage from gas. But if you're playing inside of gas, go play a different game. Go play Fortnite. Get out of gas. Don't run Irradiated. And then we have Focus, Reduce Flinch, Extend Hold Breath Duration. I've tried this while I'm sniping. I don't know if it makes much of a difference. If you want to try it while you're sniping, go for it, especially if you like to hold your breath. I don't really hold my breath often. Focus is semi-worth it. So for my first two perk slots, as you can see, like I said, I have Mountaineer and Double Time. So then we go to slot 3. We have Escapist, increased down prone and crouch speed. It's not much of an increase. It's not worth running. Quick Fix is worth running more if you are running solo quads or if you're playing Resurgence and playing aggressive, where like I split off from my squad a lot. But you get health regen immediately when killing players or inserting plates. And this is capture and hold objective to increase the player's health regen rate. That's a multiplayer thing, unless you're playing like Lockdown or something. So that one's one to consider, especially if you play aggressive. Then we have Tracker. With that one's classic. It leaves footprints behind when enemies run away. It's not worth it unless you don't have a lot of game sense. It's better for newer players, but once you start to learn the game, it's not worth it. Survivor's faster revive speed, reduce cash loss on death, and enemies that you down are automatically pinged. Maybe someone in your squad runs this, but it's another perk that I just don't think is worth it, especially if you can find a med vest, because this is essentially the med vest. The med vest just doesn't give you pings. Then we have Tempered, 2 plates instead of 3. It's really good for not having to carry as many plates. It's good for being healthier, quicker, And that's the one I run overall. Quick Fix is nice for the instant health regen, but even though we don't hold hands, my teammates usually aren't super far off on Big Map, and we've been playing more Big Map than we have Resurgence. Tempered's definitely a nice perk to have for getting into fights and staying in fights. Resupply recharge equipment over 50 seconds, maybe for ranked. Have that for smokes, but it's just not worth it over Tempered, and we don't have ranked right now. Tempered, I think, is just the better way to go. Cold-Blooded is really interesting because you don't trigger High Alert or Combat Scout, but Combat Scout's really weak, which, we'll talk about Combat Scout in a second. So it's kind of worth it, but people aren't using thermals very often, although I have been seeing them more because of smokes. Tactical cameras people aren't using, and recon drones people don't use a whole lot. So there's just not enough use cases for it, but if you play solos, if you're a sniper, I think it's worth considering. Stalker increases strafe and aim down sight movement speed. I've tried it. I tried it without it. I don't really notice much of a difference. But if you, strafe along gunfights and you don't really want any of these other perks, I guess Stalker's like a B tier perk. Then we have payout. Contracts pay out more in cash, and the cost of UAV towers are discounted. There's not even that many UAV towers. And I don't think, I can't think in my gameplay of my squad really using them much. Occasionally I do if we're in an area, we don't have a lot of money, we know there's people close by. Not worth it. And contracts pay out a lot, especially if you're not playing solos. And if you are playing solos, loadout's cheaper, and that's the main thing you're trying to get money for, right? So, just not worth it. Then we have primed accuracy and time to aim down sights is improved while jumping. The devs have talked about finding a way to get bunny hopping back in the game. If we do get bunny hopping back, prime might be worth it. But otherwise, stick with Tempered, Quick Fix, maybe Cold-Blooded. The other perks just aren't worth it based off of the overall gameplay meta. But Tempered's my preferred, of course. Then finally, we have perk slot 4. Here, we have Ghost. Ghost hides you from enemy radars, UAVs, portable radars, heartbeat sensors, and I think the UAV towers as well, although it doesn't mention it. But you do have to be moving, which is nice. If you're a camper, Ghost is going to be a little rough. Shrouded, drop a smoke grenade when entering downstate. It does not drop very fast, so you can get a ping off, you can get a second snipe off, at least having a general idea where the guy is. And, with the pull me out meta, people have so many bullets, you can kind of figure out where people are in the smoke unless they can get behind cover. Maybe going to be worth it for when we get ranked, but not worth it in pubs right now. Then we have Flex. Flex delays triggered explosives while sprinting, warns of nearby enemy equipment, and reduces combat noise. The real useful part here is delayed triggered explosive while sprinting, so you can run past claymores, you can get away from proximity mines, but people aren't running those very often, so not worth it. Might be worth it in ranked when people might be running those more so they can lock down buildings for placement, but just completely not worth it now. Combat Scout, bullets mark people, bullets you fire briefly mark opponents when you hit them. Hitting the enemy farther away increases the mark time. The mark isn't very dark, doesn't last for very long. I was running it for the most part. I just recently switched off of it. It's maybe worth it because of smoke grenades, but people don't run Shrouded very often. If they do, it's probably ground loot perks, so they're not going to keep it. The ping needs to last longer. In Warzone 1, originally it highlighted you, which was a lot bigger of a deal, but with it out that highlight, it's just not super worth it. Then we have Bird's Eye. UAVs scan faster and show the heading of your enemy squad, detects ghosted players. It might be good for one person in a squad to run this, even just in duos. But for me personally, it's not worth it, especially when you can pick up a comms vest that will do that for you. And I'm not always a fan of showing where enemies are facing. I'd rather know what level they're on. And so I personally don't necessarily like the advanced radar style UAV. Then we have High Alert. High Alert is my contender for number 2 in this category. Vision pulses when spotted by an enemy player outside of view, especially with the MTZ Interceptor, which is getting a nerf next week, thank God, according to Raven. And one-shot snipers, you can be down so quickly if you can't look at people, plus the pull me out kills pretty quickly as well. So High Alert's really nice, and without the lack of audio, if somebody's pushing you, you'll know to look in that direction or get into cover, even if you don't hear them. So High Alert's very useful. It's a debate for me between High Alert and this next perk, Resolute. Resolute gives you faster movement speed while you're taking damage from gunfire. If you played Apex, this is Bangalore's passive. It doesn't give you a whole lot of movement speed. That's why there's a real competition between High Alert and Resolute. If you zoomed like you do as Bangalore and Apex, it would absolutely be the top tier perk here. So choose based off your playstyle, especially if you're solos or you're sniping. High Alert's really nice. But if you move around the map a lot, get caught in the open from time to time, and if you run smokes, which, helps hide you, Resolute can absolutely be worth it, and Resolute ends up being my perk number 4. So my default perk package here is Mountaineer, Double Time, Tempered, Resolute. I think that's a lot of people's, and I think this works best. But for some other perk styles, here for my, this is actually what I have on my sniper class currently. We have Mountaineer. Mountaineer is by far the most overpowered perk 1. Then we do have Focus, because I have been holding my breath a little bit. I have debated going off of Focus to like Sleight of Hand, because I don't run an extended mag on the cat. Other than that, there's not really one I would run, except for going back to Double Time. But I'm not, when I'm sniping, I'm way more passive than I am when I'm running right now the DG58 LSW LMG. So I went with Focus, but Sleight of Hand for sniping is probably my second highest contender for perk slot number 2. Mountaineer's a must, especially if you're sniping on buildings, you can jump off, get away. But Double Time, if you're an aggressive sniper, is also worth considering. Then we do have Cold-Blooded, because I don't trigger high alerts when I'm sniping. I don't want people to know where I'm sniping from, and Glint has been kind of inconsistent. And so I like that. And there's nothing else that's really necessarily snipery. I would consider Tempered if you don't want to run Cold-Blooded, but there's nothing that really applies to being a sniper here. So go between Cold-Blooded and Tempered. But we're going for pure, like, stealthier sniper here, which, you know, would make you think Ghost. But once again, high alert. High alert because I'm going to be on a building, hard scoping people or something, and people are going to notice that, right? So I'd go high alert, or I'd go Ghost. Like I said, we're not going Resolute because I'm much more passive while I'm sniping. Combat Scout's not really worth it. Shrouded, you're usually up on top of buildings or behind cover when you're sniping, so smoke's not really going to necessarily save you. So I end up going with high alert, just so I know when people are looking at me, so I can turn and snipe them or whatever. That's what I like to run while I'm sniping, are these 4 perks here: Mountaineer, Focus, Cold-Blooded, and High Alert. Then we have the more aggressive perk package here. You can see we don't have Mountaineer because we ain't jumping off of buildings and running away. We're pushing right into people with this aggressive perk. So we get Double Time. If you want to go third party, you want to get into a fight, you want to be able to push back upstairs, you need to get out so you can play, and you know you're going to have to be running longer. Double Time. Sleight of Hand, so you can get behind cover, reload faster, be right back into the fight. Again, Mountaineer. If you don't want one of these 2 perks, go Mountaineer, because, you know, Vondel, jump off a building, push back up the stairs. But if you're just absolutely aping people, go Double Time, Sleight of Hand for your first 2 perks. Then we go with Quick Fix, because, hey, we're trying to be in fights, stay in fights. Tempered's nice, but we want that instant health regen, so when we're challenging a 4 stack, if they come and push me, my health is regenning, because I can put on plates and have my health regenning. Whereas Tempered obviously is only healing plates, and then your health has to regen at a normal speed. Although I would say stims if you're playing really aggressive. So maybe you go Tempered and make sure you have stims. But I like Quick Fix, then you can run any tactical you want. You're getting that instant health regeneration, so you can stay in that fight. And then, of course, Resolute, so when you take damage, you're moving faster. There's nothing else that's really super aggressive here. Maybe Bird's Eye, so you can see if people are looking and do your pushes better. Maybe Combat Scout, so you do have an idea on somebody if you don't get that ping before they disappear into the smoke. But I think absolutely focusing on speeding the game up with Double Time, more attack sprint, and get attack sprint faster. Mountaineer doesn't really speed the game up. Sleight of Hand, faster reloads. Quick Fix, faster health regen, and Resolute giving you an extra bonus movement speed, I think is absolutely the way to go if you just want to be ultra aggressive and ape stuff. Then we have, if you are a camper, which we know there is a lot, it's the MWIII effect. People really camp hard in here. We're going for absolutely locking down buildings. We got EOD and Battle Hardened, so people can't just down you automatically with cooked frags. Stuns will have less effect when they're trying to push you and get you out of that building. Plus, if you think about camping, we don't need Mountaineer. We ain't going anywhere. We're sitting in corners all game. Mechanic, we ain't driving vehicles. So there's nothing else that really helps the campiness other than maybe irradiated, because if you play hard in gas and you're not just making like gas plays at the end of games, you are absolutely a camper. I don't care what you did for the entire game. Once you start being scared and hiding in gas, you are a camper. But EOD, Battle Hardened, so when you're holding that building, it makes it a lot harder for teams to down you with their throwables and push that building. Then we got Cold-Blooded, so you're not high alerting people, so you can sit in your window or whatever and shoot people, and they won't really know where it's coming from. They can't look at you with thermals if you're smoking and trying to hide again. Can't find you, can't ping you on recon drones, so they can't ping you before they push the buildings. Cold-Blooded keeps you off of a lot. And it doesn't give them Combat Scout, so if you get shot through a window, they don't know where you're repositioning to. And there's nothing else that's really camperish. Survivor, maybe. So, yeah, there's just nothing really. Maybe Tempered, so you can heal quicker. resupply so you can get those prox mines. Probably if you're going full camper, resupply or cold-blooded, but cold-blooded keeps you off of so much, helps keep you hidden. And then finally, Ghost, you do have to be moving, but there's not a whole lot of movement input required, so you could literally sit in a corner and just hold your thumbstick back or hold your S keyboard or key back if you wanted, so you're just walking back into that corner you're sitting in and you stay ghosted. Maybe shrouded, so if you do get downed, it's harder to fool you, but there's nothing else that's really super campery. Maybe high alert, so you know when you're getting looked at through that window, but I would stick with ghost so you can stay off of UAVs, portable radars, heartbeats by just backing into a corner you're already in. And then finally, this one's a little tongue-in-cheek, but we have the senseless perks. If you have no game sense at all, need Mountaineer so you don't accidentally break your legs. Now, there is a detriment to it, to where you'll be used to it. So if you don't have it, you might just start breaking your legs. But if you have no game sense and you have no idea how high to jump, absolutely need Mountaineer. EOD, so that way if you do get hit with explosives, it's fine. Actually, that's not correct. I did want to put Strong Arm on this one. That one's messed up. So it'd be Strong Arm, Mountaineer. Strong Arm, if you have no game sense, you're just learning the game, whatever, you can see where you're throwing that. Whereas if you played a lot, you don't really need that. It should not have been EOD. That's my fault. And if we're going game senseless, Irradiated is also an interesting one because Circle 1 closes so early and can close really fast. You do get caught in gas sometimes if you don't have a lot of game sense. So really go Strong Arm, and Mountaineer, but if you don't want one of those, go Irradiated, really. Or maybe Scavenger, you're missing a lot of shots, you don't know how to loot. But I would stick with Strong Arm and Mountaineer if you're just really learning the game. Then we have Tracker, because you don't have a lot of game sense, hence the senseless. It's hard to chase down people sometimes. And Tracker, nothing else is really going to help you if you have no game sense. No, really, there's nothing that's going to help you if you have no game sense. And so you go with Tracker, and then High Alert, because you don't know where people are. You don't know where people are going to be shooting from. You need that alert, so you stick with High Alert there. So if you're senseless, you go Strong Arm, see where you're throwing stuff. Mountaineer, because you don't know how high you can survive, and you might forget to pull your parachute. Although if you're new to the game, you probably have auto deploy on. Tracker, so it can help you chase people because you don't necessarily have the outplay ability, or you don't know how to hunt down somebody, especially if they're ghost, if they're dead silent, or you just don't get audio because we don't. And High Alert because you don't know where people are looking at you from. Those are my 4 perks, just to go, or 5 perk packages, just to go over them again. My normal perk's going to be Mountaineer, because it's just broken, which, by the way, Mountaineer, 27 meters, you don't break your legs. 22 meters, no fall stunts. You can jump off 22 meters and just keep running with like 10 damage. Double time, get that increased attack sprint. Tempered, played up quicker. Resolute, get that extra movement speed. My sniper perks, Mountaineer, Focus, Cold-Blooded, High Alert. A super aggressive perk package, Double Time, Sleight of Hand, Quick Fix, Resolute. Camper perks, EOD, Battle Hardened, Cold-Blooded, and Ghost. And if you got no game sense, Strong Arm, Mountaineer, Tracker, High Alert. That's my opinion on perks. I'd love to hear yours. Let me know down in the comments. And while you're scrolling down, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, so you know when I upload more content like this, or when I talk about updates, patch notes, whatever. Hit those comments, hit that like button, all that. I do appreciate any interaction on the video. And if you want to see me test out any of these perks, you want to talk perks, I do have my Twitch link down below. Come hop into chat. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see. I'm always happy to oblige testing out things for viewers. And while you're down in those links, I also have all my social medias linked down below. Please feel free to follow, like, subscribe, comment, whatever. Always appreciate interactions on the post. Love interacting with people in the gaming community. But yeah, I will see you on the research maps and in Urzikstan. Get frying. Have a good day. Bye.